How do you define religion? If religion is common, the same for all, as you say, then why are there so many different sects and faiths in the world today?
As regards the connotation of the term religion, I told you a good number of times in the past, which I repeat for you to understand clearly. Many people take religion to be something unrelated to our day-to-day life and realities. They attach unearthly and supernatural significance to what we call religion. In this, they are totally mistaken. If you go deep into the tenets of the Vedas, you will find they strongly advocated the relevance of realities of family life. No question was raised asking people to adopt the lifestyle of the monks by adopting celibacy in the name of religion, leaving behind home and hearth, relatives and friends. In this sense, true religion as such is same and common to all mankind. It is not fragmented into divided entities like Hindus, Muslims, Christians, Jews and the like. I am convinced that the basic principles and the truth underlying all different religious faiths and sects are the same and common for all. Differences and divisions are created by ourselves, by assigning different terms and means suiting the local surroundings in this wide world. This is comparable to the vast ocean on this earth. The ocean is common and same, even though called by different names in different areas. Thus we come to the point that nomenclature, which is man's own invention. Man is responsible for the differences and disputes among the separate religious identities created by people themselves, not nature. Nature is for uniformity in diversity. Unfortunately, man's habit is to give varied interpretations so that the basic sense of uniformity is lost. In this way, when religion is given perverted shape and sense, it fails to appeal and create a repelling impact on men. We must remember that the living world ends with all its active members like nature, and living creatures are held for growth and safety by some irrevocable principle known as dharma, that is, religion. So the basic truth underlying the concept of religion is individual. Just as the big sun, which is the source of light and energy, can never be apportioned to the Hindus, the Christians, the Muslims, and the other sects. The same is true for this vast sky, which is the common inheritance of all living beings on earth. However, in case any disputes and divergent claims arise on this, it will then betray defect and error in their own reasoning. It is a pity that religion has been denigrated by willful devious interest, so much so that religion is no longer a virtue of faith. Rather, it is something where a matter reduced to an allergy or a kind of belied apparition. It is now everyone's concern to salvage religion from these faults. In my consideration, all the different members of the human race possess the same and common elements like blood veins, nervous system, sinews, and muscles internally. But outside, their physical features are dissimilar and look separate. Above all, they belong to a common human race with certain inalienable traits of love, affection, respect, devotion and avarice, jealousy and hatred. In all this, mankind retains a common intensity and heritage. This virtue of integration and uniformity is also true for religion. The basic morality and eternal value of life owe their origin to great nature in her creative and existentialist character. Nature is endless and bottomless. All efforts of survey and demarcation will end in failure. All the different elements that we need and feel in our daily life experience have a common source of origin and have the common receptacle to disintegrate. Besides, some known elements of nature, like light and air, soil and water, etc., are objects of our physical experience. We can identify each one of them by a certain name and service, while there are many other such elements emerging from nature, but they are not properly identified and directly experienced in the course of our daily activities. These are spread over the entire hemisphere in different shapes and forms, colors and smells, beauty and ugliness. Still, despite such apparent dissimilarity, they are integrated at the common source of origin. Look at the vast blue sky above us. It seems to us that it is animated by some consciousness that we cannot count or measure. Cotton is grown, harvested, and stored in a stock. We can neither count nor make any use of it until it is spun into threads and then woven into cloth. It comes to our use only in that shape and form. We must remember its origin is nature, the soil, seed, plants, flowering, and the ultimate yield in the fruition. We can observe that through the different stages of blossoming, growth, and yield, the process is a singular thread holding them together. This is one example that I have cited to you to explain the central theme. The same process is operating through the endless outlays of nature. There is the soil or the sky or any such other elemental base, providing the scope of germination and sprouting, growth and expansion, blossoming and fruition. Look at the sky, which looks to us as a very great base and a shelter of countless stars and planetary bodies. It is so huge and limitless that all our efforts for calculation and measurement will be vain and meaningless. That is beyond our capacity of calculation and verification. It is a wonder to look at the vast space above us, wherein countless stars and planetary systems are accommodated, which again create endless types of vegetation and even life. How could this be possible? A matter of great surprise for us. In fact, there is a continuous flow behind all that is visible to us. We appreciate that this great firmament is the upholder of certain eternal principles, governing creation, growth, and final dissimulation. Our principle should also be the same. That should be understood and accepted as our religion. Its most characteristic feature is that it does not admit of any indiscipline or disturbance and disunity. Rather, it is the manifestation of harmony of principles, like consciousness, discipline, unity, energy, or other elements of nature. It is too big a combine for formal interpretation by man. The manifested virtues are to be followed and translated into action. That is religion for man. In present-day society, the talk of morality, spiritualism, religion, and other related matters are so confusing that problems get complicated and they multiply. Instead of finding any solution, heaps of unreal and provocative issues are being propagated in the name of religion, so that the very concept of religion has lost purposeful significance. People naturally feel shy of this. Normally, people are habituated to highlight the special aspects of their own country, society, religious faith, etc., even though they may not mentally agree with the prevailing ideals of life, customs, and culture. This is the result of deliberate propagation by self-interested groups, the mock and the unreal to be true and real. That is why religion in real terms fail to enter into the hearts of people. Differences and disagreement have replaced the policy and principle of harmony in man's basic instincts of religion, sentiments detrimental to man's progress towards the higher planes of understanding and realization of the eternal values of life, are now usurping the genuine urge for religion. Separate groups are confined within their self-created cells, and this process has created the unholy atmosphere of rivalry, competition, separatism, communalism, and ethnicity. These again run against the fundamental principles of human forbearance. A malicious spirit of extra-racialism and overlordship has totally overpowered the internal spirit of humility, patience, and tolerance. Ideas of exclusivism are being imposed on the rival groups at the cost of the spirit of true religion to flourish. Thus, whatever is catered to the society deserves rejection, not acceptance. That is the irony of fate today. People are now influenced by the telltale stories of imaginary gods and deities, heaven and hell, virtue and sin, bondage and liberation in the name of religion. Efforts are made to exploit the finer sensibilities of the faithful to the intent of indoctrination. It is not that some people do not sincerely accept all such imaginary and unreal stories propagated by self-interested practitioners of religion, but people are so deeply influenced and overwhelmed that they cannot raise any voice of protest and disbelief. On the other hand, truth has such an indomitable force of its own that it goes straight deep into man's heart and soul, that nobody can dare to defy truth. Truth is eternal and everlasting. The evolution of nature as we find today was possible because of the underlying principles of truth. That is why all the elements of nature are everlasting, relevant in all respects as they were in the older times, tens and thousands of years back. This trend of the incessant flow of the current of nature's progress will continue, as there is truth and virtue keeping the current unstoppable. Unfortunately, religious ideas and functions are today bypassing the tenets of truth and permanency. Religion has been reduced to utter confusion, proliferation of mistaken concepts born out of imagination and inference, or in motivated features and protagonists of morality, spirituality, and religion. As a result of the confusion over religion and its illusory representation, the social order is now breaking to pieces. But we know the function of religion is positive creativity and not negativity. We should know that the concept of religion is integrated to the sublime Vedas. Nature manifested herself in the Vedas, so the essential traits, principles, and virtues underlying nature are also kept alive in the Vedas for man's sustenance and progress, as is the case with the bounty of nature. Problems and disputes in society used to be settled and harmonized in nature's way. In the Vedic age, all members of the community were used to physical labor, and simultaneously they were owners also with equal rights. The ruler of the land would also do the job of a plowman to grow crops. The laboring class as a whole used to form the main pillar of the society. and there would be no question of hoarding of essential goods. The practice was to collect the entire crop grown by individuals and stored at a common place where all the community members used to assemble and distribute the stuff proportionately or equally among themselves, without any dispute, argument, riots, or bickering. Nobody was ever allowed to lord it over others. Vedic policy and principles were applicable to all, without any distinction. People were motivated by a spirit of voluntary service for the benefit of others, a lesson that they learnt from the forces of nature operating throughout the universe, the sun and the moon, air and water, and their services. They learnt and adopted the principles of coexistence, discipline, intense labor, harmony, and equality. Religion, in the truest sense, is the sum total of all these virtues, and that is equally valid even today.